In it. You have to speak very close.
Okay, I have a mic on.
Okay. You have to speak very
You might want to tap on it and test it. Yeah.
Thanks.
All the other stuff that just it's a lot of one more company.
You've done it.
It's totally different.
Now you're up against 80,000. I was up against 14,000. Is it all important? Right. It's a great book. Maybe I don't want to commit to the possibility of thinking about
240.
All right, we're going to get started. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Tracy Boyle. I'm basically just going to be your MC for the night. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Colorado HealthOP. Thank you so much for coming on this amazing Thursday afternoon in Colorado. I'm going to kick it off really quickly here with our President of the Board, Chuck Hollum. Woo!
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Particularly, I want to welcome our members. This is our second annual meeting where we've had members, and we've grown a lot, and we do have more members here than last year. And that's very exciting to us, and it's exciting to see you participating in your co-op. I'm going to introduce Julia here in a second, but I just wanted to give you a couple thoughts about the co-op. This organization started as a way to try to get a nonprofit, obviously cooperative ethic back into healthcare, where healthcare isn't all about money, isn't all about taking profits from consumers and putting it into large corporations. In the last month or so, we've been reading news about mergers in big insurance companies, and those are going to have an effect on our citizens in Colorado. Then we've been reading about drug company taking huge profits, huge price increases. That's all going to affect us in our medical care. This week we've been reading, just yesterday I think, about the huge profits that some of the hospitals in Colorado are making. That some of them are making over 40% profits on their healthcare revenues. Those are big numbers, and they're a huge problem for the American healthcare system. We got started by Rocky Mountain Farmers Union, by the way, which is represented in this room, as a way to try to answer that, a way to respond to the greed that's running our healthcare system that should really be about us and not about all the money going out of the system. So that's the ethic we came out of. We are a co-op. We are a nonprofit. You are our members. We're not in this for the money. We're in this to take care of you. And we want that to be a new model for healthcare in America. That said, you all know and probably have seen news this week about how hard that is. It's really hard to be the little guy taking on money and power and politics. And we have really done our best. And you should be really proud of your staff. And you should be really proud of your board that's volunteered all the time to do this. And I'd like the staff to stand up and just show us who you are. And I want to thank them because they've been amazing. And now I want to introduce Julia. Julia Hutchins has been with us from the start. She's been with us since before the start. She came to help a group of novices try to put together an organization that knew something about healthcare, and some of us didn't know very much. Julia is intelligent. Julia is brave. Julia has taken on the big guys in more ways than you will ever know. Julia is a great leader. Julia has compassion. Julia has been absolutely amazing with her staff through a lot of trials and tribulations over the last year. Julia, we really thank you for all your wonderful work. To me, what Julia is about is caring And if we had a little more caring in our healthcare system, it would be a lot better. So here's Julia Hutchins.
I have a mic. Okay, so thank you. But you should also know that we started this company really with the sense that I work for you. And I really do believe that. And we don't get it right all the time. But this organization and the cooperative philosophy is really about members are at the top. And that the members then elect a board of themselves to be able to represent your interests. And then we serve you. So it's an awesome concept, and so many co-ops start from the grassroots. I mean, that's what co-ops are. It's about people really banding together about making change. And this co-op was a little different because we were founded by a low-interest federal loan. And we started this company really hoping that people would care enough to make it a co-op, and that we could really turn it into something that people and consumers had a vehicle, and not necessarily immediately, but over time a vehicle to be able to engage in and to be heard and to eventually shape it in a way that really worked for you in a different kind of way. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our year just from a staff and an operational perspective, and then I'm not going to talk a lot, and then I really want to answer your questions. But it just blows me away that you're all here, and thank you for coming. Thank you for being part of this. So these are more numbers. So let's see if I can do the clicker maybe. Point at the computer. The computer's moving.
Okay.
Well, you know, PowerPoints are overrated, so I could just
Okay, there we go. And the clicker.
Yeah. Okay. Now I can do this. Okay. So we've only been providing insurance for 2 years. And so in our first year, we had 14,000 members. And that was a really good place to start, because starting a health insurance company and trying to pull all the pieces together very quickly is hard. And if we had had 80,000 members in the first year, we probably would have imploded. But we have 14,000 members, and I think by the end of the year, we recovered from some of our earlier challenges and felt like we could really give people the time and attention that we wanted to and that they deserved. But we also knew that we had to grow, because insurance is law of large numbers, and that in order to make this work, we needed a lot of people involved, and not just people who needed health care today. We needed people who needed health care tomorrow. And so to make it work, it was really important that we had to grow. But anyone who's been part of any startup will know that when you grow 6 times in 1 year, that some of those processes that you had in place that worked really well for 14,000 members just didn't work with 80,000. And I know some of you here have experienced those, whether it was trying to pay your premium. I mean, trying to do what should have been the easy thing is give us money to be able to help cover your claims expenses have not been easy. But your pain is our pain too. I mean, we feel it. I mean, we get horrified when we hear some of the challenges that you've had, and we really this year have moved from an organization that was working to fix things onesie twosie to one that has really good business processes. We have a new premium payment solution that's in place, and have really worked through a lot of the operational issues that we've had. So thank you for going along with us, and I hope you will know that we want this company to work as well as you want it to, but it's taken some time. But thank you for your patience. These are our planimals, and I've heard that our Vice President of Sales will dress up as a planimal and come to your place of business. This just tells you our membership, and this is not just about us, but it's really the state of healthcare, and for individuals who are buying healthcare, it's getting really hard and it's getting really expensive, and the benefits are not as good. And so this bear plan is the bison plan, which is most of our membership, which is a high deductible plan of about $6,000. And that's really hard. But it represents more than just us. It represents the cost of insurance for people who are buying it themselves. And we're really happy to be able to provide people insurance. We wish we could provide coverage at a lower dollar amount, but this is bigger than us. But it's something we can work to solve. We have 2 different networks, and whether you like it or not, we have a narrow network. And if you go onto the marketplace, Connect for Health Colorado, next year, almost every single plan out there will be a narrow network. We will be one of the only plans left offering a broad-based PPO network. And you can see that although people like choice and we like to have choice of our doctors, when it comes down to it, health insurance is so expensive that we're finding ourselves more and more in the narrow network plan. I know I moved to the narrow network plan, and it's not easy. I know. I mean, I had to move all of my doctors. I have a heart condition. I went in and said, well, how do I find a cardiologist in network? And I sat there with my phone and Googled to try to find. I mean, it's just really hard. So I really feel for those of you who've been trying to make it work in a narrow network. We partner with Centura Health, which is the largest nonprofit hospital system in Colorado, who is really trying to be an integrated care system. And really, from that philosophy, felt like, okay, well, if it has to be narrow, at least it can be integrated, and hopefully at the end of the day can deliver higher quality care. But you can see most of our members are in our narrow network. But the broad-based network is still really important too, and especially for people who don't live in urban areas where there just isn't an ability to have a limited network. So here's our operations. We're better than the industry. We're not as good as we want to be, but we do answer your phone calls. And probably the thing that's been most frustrating for us has to do with just our eligibility files that we get through Connect for Health and making sure those are correct and your payments are correct. A lot of that is not always us, but also this claims processing. Part of the reason why we've struggled so much with claims processing is because we're growing the network. And the reason why we're directly contracting with providers is because we're getting better rates, which ultimately means lower cost to you, but sometimes that means your claims are delayed. So again, it doesn't make it right. In this number we have, our goal is to get that up to 80% where our claims are paying automatically. Now it's very manual because we're checking to see, do we have a direct contract in hand or not? This is what we started the company for, is prevention. I mean, the people who started the company, and we really did believe that we could make healthcare costs less, not by saying no, but by investing in health. And our benefits, while sometimes they may be complicated, they really are designed to make it easy to be healthy. And one of the big things that we did was make sure that the generics for people with chronic conditions are free. And it's amazing that you can have these benefits, but it's still very difficult for people to even know they exist. And we have a team of extension agents out in communities who've been calling our members with chronic disease to say, do you know that you can have free meds? And it's amazing to us how many people do not know. So these numbers are not as high as we would want them to be, but they do represent an important benefit that we're providing to people. And this you can't see so well, but this is medication adherence. And so these are things that we track as for our membership as a whole, who's taking the medicines that they need to be able to stay healthy, and it helps us plan benefits better. Again, we have this funky benefit design with our 3 health actions, which philosophically we love, that if you take care of yourself, then you should have lower costs or get more benefits. These numbers are lower than we thought they would be, but part of it is our bronze plans. They're so narrow that 50% of our members are in a bronze plan, and there's no benefit for completing your health actions. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you should see me after. But for most plans, if you go to your doctor, do a biometric screen and lab work, then you get more benefits. One of our plans, you get a $900 debit card for completing your health actions, and those numbers for that plan are a lot higher than these. So there's some little computers out there, and that's to sign up for a member insight network. And one of the things, honestly, that staff, but really that the board has struggled with a lot is how to create a meaningful feedback loop between you and them and us. And so we've tried it in person, and we had different phone vehicles for it, but it was very difficult to be able to really have timely feedback that was also actionable for staff. And so the Member Insight Network, especially as we've grown, is something that we've are really using as a feedback mechanism. We can ask you questions, you can ask us questions, and then we can bring that information to the board so they can see what you care about and what you're thinking. So there's some, you can sign up online, or there are some computers out there, but really encourage people to get involved in the Insight Network. And then we're on the ground. Not as much as we were in prior years, but it's hard to get people to show up, which is why it's great that you showed up tonight. And then First Fridays. So First Friday is probably the best thing we did all year, because we're an insurance company that really cares about our members, but we never see you. Yeah, I mean, and so the clinical care team, and this is really Victoria back there, said, well, why don't we just do the biometrics in our office? And we had over 100 people show up for our First Friday, and there couldn't have been like a better morale boost for staff than having you come into our office and get your blood work done. Because when you start this had all been this idea, and we didn't know who you were, and it just meant a lot to be able to meet you. And for the first 5 months, we had our members, come in, get their blood work, answer questions, and it really helped make it real for us too. So this is the Member Insight Network. It just gives you an idea about what it is, but it's supposed to be fun. But also really a tool to help you engage us and us engage with you. And this is, so we asked some of questions about what our members like, their favorite benefits. So free doctor's visits, it's great to see some of the preventative things come up. And then the generic drugs is the 22%, and the 23, free preventive health. And then just other questions about things that we're looking at. So do our members want telemedicine? Is that something we should be doing? And really, how do we create that loop where you're telling us what benefits you want? And this, I have to read this again, so I read this last year. This is what, whether you feel it or not, this is really what we believe and what we stand for. But we believe that premiums can never be low enough, that people are more important than profits, that plans should be easy to understand, that our members are our lifeblood, that great ideas can come from anywhere, that everyone deserves to get the care that they need, and we're Colorado HealthOP, and we're designed to be different. And I hope, yeah. So I hope you leave tonight knowing that that's what we stand for, and that we are also imperfect. And that the only way that we really deliver on this message is through engagement, and it's engagement in us. We are maybe one of the only vehicles out there that you can engage with and we can deliver. But whether it's with us or it's in a broader sense in your community, healthcare is something that we can also often feel hopelessly lost in and caught in the bureaucracy and frustrated with how to make change in healthcare that really serves us. And so just being here means something, but this is what we stand for, so I hope you'll help us get there. And then finally, I don't have anything in here about finances, so I thought I'd just talk about it. But we were funded by a low interest federal loan. So this is similar to the way that the rural electric co-ops were funded. It doesn't have to be paid back for 15 years. And we jumped right into healthcare reform. Almost 97% of our members buy insurance directly. We serve some small businesses. And we received some bad news about a week ago that some of the money that we were owed through the Affordable Care Act we were not going to receive. And so we took a chance. We didn't know, should we tell you about it? Because you just bought insurance and maybe you didn't want to get caught up in all of this politics. But we decided as a co-op that we really should tell you about it, and we posted some information on our website really encouraging all of you to speak out and really put pressure on Congress to do the right thing. And when Congress doesn't make good on its obligations, it doesn't hurt the big guys, it hurts the little guys. And what $10 million may be a drop in the bucket to a big plan, but it really means a lot for us. And at the same time, I want to assure you that this is not about having enough money to pay your bills and pay claims, but it really has given pause at the Division of Insurance around what types of reserves do you need to have in the bank to be able to go forward. And so just really encourage any of you who care about what we're doing to call the governor and really let them know how important we are to you. So regardless, we've been looking on a lot of solutions and ways that we can fill that hole and certainly doing ourselves. So we have a lot of different options and we're feeling optimistic about that. But you can pull me aside afterwards or you can ask me more questions now, but just wanted to address that as well. At a high level, we've been beating our financial projections every month this year and really have just been doing an incredible job. We're poised to have net income, not a profit, going into next year. And that's what this company was set up as. Once we have some profits, then that really goes back to our members in terms of more benefits or lower costs. And that's what is so cool about this model. I mean, it's not going to me, it's not going to these volunteer board members who put 20 hours of their time a week, but it goes back to you. So that's my presentation, but I am open to questions. Yeah, I got one in the back there and then right there, second. Yeah.
How is the fact that they're not going to give $10 million to the premiums?
So it won't, because we set premiums for 2015 in the first quarter of 2016 in the first quarter of 2015. So our premiums will go up next year, which was really hard for the board, and I think in some ways it was the first year that we ever had data to set premiums. So they really do reflect the underlying costs of care that our members are accruing. We're still very competitive. We're probably the most competitive bronze plan and right in there on all other plans, even though we're not happy about the premium increase and hope we never have to do it again. But we can adjust premiums. We could do that, I think going forward, it certainly means that we might have to adjust them more going forward, but it wouldn't impact our plans for next year.
Okay, so you just answered part of my question that next year you think premiums will stay stable. But what is your strategy? The government stiffed you.
I know.
And tell me what more of a strategy that you have to try to get that turned around. I made a note just now you would like us to contact Governor Hickenlooper.
Right.
Okay, that's a start.
Yeah.
But when you guys are sitting around the table, what other strategies do you have to try to get this accomplished?
That's fair. So our first request is that we have some more time to be able to work through financing strategies, so that we have 3. Well, I guess you have 4. One is maybe a long shot. That would be to pressure Congress to do the right thing. But we're writing that one off for now. But we still encourage you to write them and make your voices heard. The second one is there are large reinsurance companies, and this is not unheard of, that even insurance companies reinsure themselves. And so we've been talking with, 5 different very large reinsurance companies who would reinsure a proportion of our risk, so they'd risk share with us. And that really lowers the capital requirements that we need. And again, you pay a high price for that, but it's a way to ensure, again, that we have the capital that we need to go forward. So that would be the first one. The second one, we've been talking to other co-ops. This is what co-ops do. They collaborate. We're part of 18 different co-ops around the country, and we're working on a capital loan from another co-op, which would be great because that's a way that we don't have to pay a high price for that. It's a way that we can support each other and sort of support our own individual ups and downs. That would take some time to work out. And then the third one is a little bit trickier, but it's really looking to private investment. And how do you do that as a nonprofit cooperative? And so you have to get pretty creative. But we have a group of investors who validated our business model, are really excited about it, and thinking that there's some way they might be able to help. So they're real strategies, but it is tricky being a nonprofit cooperative when your venture capital funder is the federal government and they decided to cut off funding they owed you. So, and I should preface this, that this funding is not just to us. I mean, it was to all insurance carriers, and it was to help. In that first year, people who bought insurance had a lot of healthcare needs, because everybody who could have insurance previously didn't have a health condition, so they went and bought, and it was, insurance was medically underwritten. And we joined in 2014 when a lot of people had pent-up demand and needs. And part of covering that cost were some of these protections that were in the law. And it's winding back on those commitments that's really put us in this more vulnerable place and led us to look to more creative solutions.
You had that catastrophic category. Was that just a carryover from prior to 2014?
Yeah, so there's still a catastrophic option, but you have to be under 30. And so it's anybody under 30, and there it's, and yeah, but it's still a catastrophic option. So it doesn't really show up when you search unless you're the right age. Yeah.
So would that be a situation where if you're the policyholder for your family and you have an under 30-year-old, would it be up to them to search for it and find it because they're under 30?
Yep.
And it would be their portal that would reflect it because they're under 30, or as the policyholder and a dad, will it pop up for me?
I don't think it will pop up for you. And the change now is that because, I mean, yeah, so it would, if they could buy as an individual, and it's a lot cheaper.
So I would have to find out about it through here and let them know to go into their portal and get it, aside from the plan that I have?
Right, so you would, yes, it would be a separate plan. And then our sales folks can help you with that. They're all in the back. But yes. Yeah. Okay, one more. Yeah.
You're using the words obligations, commitments on the part of the government and Congress. I feel naive in asking the question, but has litigated as an industry to get the money that they promised us on the table?
Yes.
Repeat the question.
Okay. So I'll be around, so you can, feel free. And you can find my email. I do respond.
So it might be a contradiction in terms, but was the decision for them to rescind what they owed amiable? Was it like, hey, we're really sorry, but we're in this position? Or were you guys checking your online account going, it's not there yet, we should call?
We were shocked, so we got 12.6% of what we were owed. And even the week before, we had been told we would get 100% on time. And so that's part of it. If we had known earlier, then we could have been planning earlier. But we were shocked.
Who made that decision?
It was an administrative decision that was made even more complicated by Congress.
So is Hickenlooper really the person to contact? No.
Well, it's really Congress, but right now it's the state is making a decision around whether we can continue for another year, and it's a state decision. And what we're looking at is strong financials, so we have adequate cash to be able to continue another year, and it's a 3-year program, and so part of this is accounting. So the government paid 12.6% this year. Are they going to pay 12.6% next year? And it's disagreement over those numbers. So it makes it very political and almost complicated, but it's really a state decision around whether they want to let us continue another year.
By administrative, do you mean Health and Human Services?
Yes. The Federal Health and Human Services, so Secretary Burwell is the head of Health and Human Services. That's right.
So if we were to address our issues to Governor Hickenlooper, that sounds a little different than how we addressed our congresspeople. So what would be the message we should relay to Governor Hickenlooper?
Well, one is to tell your story and that, and certainly what you think about us. But it's also just to give us more time to be able to work through some of these solutions. A phone number?
Go to our website. Julia, send people to the website.
Or Facebook.
Our website or Facebook has information. Or Faye has a phone number.
The telephone number for the governor's office is 303-866-2471.
And the cell phone.
I don't have his cell phone.
This is your board member. This is your board member. That's great. So, yes.
What was the test that they did?
Directly address those entities that need to be addressed.
Yeah, okay, I will, and there's more on our website too. So this was a program that would help share extreme losses that, that health insurance carriers had in the first year. So this is nothing to do with how, and this isn't about this year, but it was 2014, we had really high expenses because we had a lot of people who had a lot of need. And this was in place really to recognize that that would happen. You know, that you have a lot of people who either had been underinsured or uninsured who would use a lot of health care in that first year. And so this program said that the government would share in both the gains, so high profits and high losses. And there was a lot of losses across the insurance industry in 2014. So I think you could say, well, why were you so surprised? But part of it was really that the administration continued to say to us and our insurance regulators that we will pay 100%, and that we recorded 100% on our financials. And when it came in at 12.6%, that was so far below what anyone expected it to be that has kind of put everybody in a scramble around how to deal with that, and really how to think about it for next year, because it resets. So 2015 is another year. You know, what are there losses or gains this year? It really doesn't have a bearing on what happened in 2014, but it's also just how we book that on our finances. So it's complicated, but again, these programs were put in place because we'd gone to a place where people couldn't buy insurance if they needed health care, to one where everybody could, and a recognition. This is the same thing as Medicare Part D has a risk-sharing proportion of it. So these aren't unusual concepts. And again, the big guys, they can weather this. It's really disproportionately hit, not just co-ops, but regional plans. I mean, local regional plans. And if you believe that healthcare is local, and that there are really local solutions that can make a difference, these are the plans that are hit. But there's a little more. It can get really wonky fast. Yeah.
So you say it's up to the state ultimately whether or not this co-op is going to be in business next year.
That's right.
And when is the drop dead date to know that?
Pretty soon.
What's pretty soon? Late 2 weeks, a month?
Open enrollment starts on 11/1, so sometime before then. It's just an oddly timed meeting, but this is I mean, we're really hopeful, and you know we are. I mean, the nice thing we are. You take away, you know, but for all this sort of federal sort of craziness, the underlying finances and what we're doing are solid, and we really do have a strong basis of support. We have more of populist support than the powerful support that we now realize we could have used more of that. But we really appreciate you being here, and really appreciate you speaking up. And we felt like it was important to be frank about it. And again, this isn't something necessarily that impacts you or your coverage this year. It's just around having us as a choice next year.
So that was my question, sort of. Will we have assistance from people to help us guide us through finding new health insurance coverage if Colorado HealthOP goes on?
That isn't going to happen.
That's right, we will prevail. So there's always, yeah, so there's lots of places you can get help. I mean, and some of it's better than others. But our sales staff here can also, there's brokers here too, I'm sure, who'd be happy to. How many brokers are in the room today? I know there's one. Yeah, okay, there's one. This guy. This guy can help you. No.
I've been doing this for 36 years, and when the co-op came about, and I was a little hesitant because I really feel strongly about my clients, and I started looking at their philosophy, and I get choked up about it because I love you guys, and I love the way you treat your members, and it's been so refreshing to go out to my clients and say, here's an option, and look at what they're doing, and let's get involved and see what we can do. And I've placed, I think close to $1 million worth of business with you guys. I don't know, it's kind of I love your philosophy. You are keeping rate increases on other carriers down. In fact, United Healthcare is so shook up about it that
Right.
they're actually lowering their rates for the fourth quarter and again in January, and they're still not.
Kaiser priced at a loss because of us. I mean, we really, if you step back from it, just our existence in the marketplace has brought prices down.
So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, last one, and I will be out there. Yes.
Okay, real quick.
Yes.
If we are going to call Governor Hickenlooper, it would seem as though in the short term would be more effective than anything.
Yes.
My question is would you put something out to us, as you do with, emails, everything else, in the best way, most effective way to phrase our concerns to the governor's office? Does that make sense to you?
It does. I think your personal stories are probably more important than anything we could put in paper. I mean, it's really simple. But I hear you. There's a call to action on our website and a sample letter. And
We'll send out an email tomorrow, and there's sample language and all of the contact information for your congresspeople and senators all on the website.
Yeah.
And
we sent
we've heard it's
500
easy.
letters in one day. We, meaning you, members. 500 letters in one day to Congress. It's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
I know.
All right, and we are going to have drinks and refreshments because we're all going to need it after this. And Julia and all of our staff will be happy to answer all additional questions. So we just want to make sure we get through stuff today. But I know you all we want to answer your questions. So we're going to do a little bit different part now of the program. We're going to actually bring up two members, Rick and Letha Heitman, if you would come on up. While they're coming up, I'll just give a quick background. These are members who've got an amazing member story that we really wanted to share with you because it's touched all of us as staff, and we're just truly grateful that we were able to make a difference in their lives and that they're willing to share their story. So Rick and Letha own RLH Specialties, and Rick performs commercial wood carpentry. They work on many Colorado projects, such as the Village at the Peaks Mall and numerous retail and restaurant spaces. I'm going to let them tell their story, but Rick is recovering from cancer. They celebrated their third year of business this summer at the same time Rick was diagnosed. And this is the most important part is that he never missed a day of work. So I'm going to let them tell their story right now, Rick and Letha.
Thank you. I'm going to let Rick start the story, and then it'll come into play because I'm not only the wife who loves him very much, I'm his significant other, his office manager, his PR person. He pretty much has me do everything for him. So, but I love this man very much, and you all, Colorado HealthOP, is a big part of knowing I'm going to have him around much longer in my life.
Thank you guys for having me. And after being married for 33 years, you're going to realize that I just say yeah a lot. So you're going to hear that a lot. I 53 years old, and at 50 years old, I was 250 pounds, and I lost a lot of weight. I lost 50 pounds in 50 days. And I thought that was doing good. But at 50 years old, I wasn't aware that testosterone is stored in fat. And to lose my fat, I actually kind of that wasn't too good for me. So I went on testosterone. And I kind of owe all you guys because I had 2 years to live. Doctor told me you got 2 years if you don't get fixed. Testosterone, breast cancer is really common with women, and prostate cancer is really common with guys. It's the same thing. Estrogen feeds girls, testosterone feeds guys. You can't get cancer from testosterone, but it feeds it, and I fed it. I was 210 pounds of pure muscle 6 months ago. I'm 190 pounds now, and she'll tell you the whole story because you guys want to hear about the insurance part, and I'm grateful for you, but she knows better because for me it was ask your wife, let your wife take care of it. And I just can't thank you guys enough, because I think with, just like that guy said, with an insurance company, I'm just a number. I get that. I'm just a number, and you guys took the time to say, well, you know what, we'll fix you. So we'll see what happens. I hope to be here in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. You guys can ask me any kinds of questions you want. The one thing I do want to say before I hand it over to my wife is that program that you guys have that lets you go get checked. At 50 years old, I had pneumonia twice. That's the only time I ever went to a doctor. Never, other than being what I call heavy, I was in perfect health the whole. And to get prostate cancer, it's not something you feel. It's not something you know you have. The only thing that detected it was you guys supplying health insurance that gave me the ability to go to the doctor and get checked. So that's what I have to say about that.
It was a year ago when open enrollment came around. We had gone to a broker through Connect for Colorado, and I was looking for a new insurance. And I was intrigued with the Colorado HealthOP insurance because of pre-existing conditions. For one, I have chronic neck pain from breaking my neck in a car accident. And but we also are both active in workout, and I really liked the concept of being a native from Colorado, the name, but also the concept of the wellness care that went along with it. And, you know, so we converted over and signed up, and I thought that it would be a great fit for us. What happened is the time of the year came, I encouraged him as usual, you know, you need to get in and have that wellness exam. They dragged his feet, but he did do it. And the doctor called back, and both of us were, you know, there, and he says, you need to see a urologist. I'm concerned about your prostate. So both Rick, then being a research person, Googled it, went and looked, and he was convinced it was his testosterone he was injecting. And there's a reason I'll share this with you, because your company is such a big part of why we're where we are now. And so we went to the urologist. Again, the urologist said, I think there's a small chance it's cancer. 40%, let's schedule you for some biopsies. If it is, you caught it very early, and we can just zap it and it will be gone. Well, he went in for the biopsies. It was around our 33rd wedding anniversary over Memorial Day weekend. And both of us felt confident that he did not have cancer. If it did, it was very, very early. But then the phone call came in Tuesday afternoon, and it was more than we expected. We both were on the Bluetooth in the truck and listening. The physician said, you not only have cancer, it's an aggressive cancer, and I'm concerned. We need to have you get in as soon as possible for an MRI and make sure it's not spread. And then I need to meet with you in my office as soon as possible. Right now, Rick, I need you to cut that testosterone in half. He took away half of Rick's energy because the testosterone was keeping him going. And especially owning a construction business, and we build large commercial projects, he took away the energy and then told him he had cancer. So, you know, as my voice gets shaky with this, it's scary. I laid in bed crying, going to sleep, because my husband had cancer, and I was stunned, and I was shocked. And when we went and met with the doctor, the one thing I'd learned, I'd worked in healthcare previously in my life. I called my former life for 25 years, but I learned to ask a lot of questions. First thing they did was discuss surgery. And listening to the graphic details, we knew that wasn't an option for us. And Rick, it was his decision. It was up to him. But we asked more questions. What was about this zapping thing? And what it led to is he referred us to a radiation oncologist who then discussed with the CyberKnife. We were highly educated on what the Gleason scale is. When you learn a lot about prostate cancer, and I am like Rick, I think there needs to be more awareness made of prostate cancer, just like breast cancer, because the two top leading cancers, women, they discuss breast cancer. Men, it's never discussed about the prostate. And all it is a simple blood test. 20 years ago, they didn't have this. Men don't go in and get this PSA and detect their cancer. By the time they feel the symptoms, I have learned now it's to the stage where it could be too late. He did not have any symptoms. It was a wellness exam that caught this. So we went in with Dr. Dickerson. Based off Rick's Gleason scale, he gave us layman terms because Rick's like, I don't understand what the Gleason scale is. He said, Rick, you have this field. Let me relay it to you like this. You have this field of rabbits. Okay, your prostate's got this field of rabbits. Well, we're going to throw a coyote in. Don't you think the coyote makes it a little bit more aggressive? Rick says, yeah, I do. He says, well, now you've got a mountain lion. He says, that mountain lion has stepped it up. Rick says, yeah, it has. He says, Rick, you have the mountain lion. Rick says, well, what's the worst? He says, a bear, and a bear would be surgery. He said, you're close, but I think I could get you taken care of with cyberknife radiation. We walked out of there feeling a sense of hope that he didn't have to have surgery. But the next day, I received a crushing phone call and found out that it was not covered through our insurance company. And that was a shocker. But this is where you all step in. I, as a wife, I looked at him and I said, we will find a way to get this covered one way or another. It was over $20,000 for treatments. I said, but we will. But I decided to make a phone call. And I called and I reached the nicest customer representative at Colorado HealthOP. And I tried to talk like I am now, and next thing I knew, I was just bawling. I said, my husband has cancer. I thought we were following everything. We made sure we went to the right place for the MRI. I don't know what to do. And I truly anticipated hearing, I'm so sorry, but unfortunately that facility does not participate with us. Yes, the doctor does through the urology group, but he does not with his cancer center. But that's not what I heard. Instead, I heard, Ms. Heitman, calm down. Don't give up on us yet. I think that we can do something for you. We can maybe open a case for you. There's other options. It was right before July 4th weekend. I hung up. I was just sobbing. I called Rick right away, and I said, Rick, guess what? There's a chance we may not have to pay for this. You know, this could have cost us our business. And so she says, you enjoy your weekend. And I fully planned on it. We were like, there's a sense of hope. We're going to enjoy this weekend. And the next day, I got up. It was Friday. Didn't think we were going to hear anything. Till Monday, the phone rang, and it was that customer service rep again. And she called and she said, I just wanted to let you know there has been a case open for you. And I was so elated. The tears were just flowing down my face. And I thought, I need to get my husband taken care of because he has cancer, and this is something that can't wait. But now how long is this case going to take? Monday came, and the phone rang, and it was a caseworker. And not only was it just a caseworker, it was an oncology nurse, somebody who understands cancer. She understood the Gleason scale. She understood that he had developed a new nodule at that exam that Dr. Dickerson had felt based before. And your company then stepped in and took care of him and opened a case. And thank God today we are sitting here. He's almost 2 months out from treatment, of having his treatments, and it was covered for by this company. And I took the time then, because I still get really emotional, but I had to write a long thank you letter and say thank you, because it was just so important to me, because you treated us as if we were family members, and we were just somebody that signed up for insurance. And I didn't have any idea that a company would care so much about people. So I just want to tell all of you that are in here, thank you so much for your company, and I pray that you get that funding. I myself will forward my letter, because I know it was a long, detailed letter, and I have a tendency to rattle on, but I just want to say thank you.
Thank you so much. So we're going to switch gears for a few minutes. We're going to take a little time and talk about, dry your eyes, I know. Well, we're going to switch to the topics of gear and beer. So totally different direction. We're going to lighten it up just a little bit. And I'm going to invite Doug Schmidt and Corky Odell up to the microphone, and I'm going to read their bios right now really quick. This part of the program is talking about the co-op structure. And so we've invited Corky and Doug here. And I'm going to start with Corky. And Corky is, she joined her brother Doug and his wife Win to start Odell Brewing Company, which we will be serving their products here in a few minutes in the opening room, in 1989. All right. This company, Odell, recently became an employee stock ownership plan, which she'll tell you a little bit about. She started cleaning out tanks as the company grew. She climbed out of the tanks and evolved into the human resources director and culture maven at Odell. She holds a BS in sociology from Lewis and Clark College in Portland, Oregon, and graduate level coursework in urban planning at the University of Colorado, Denver, right here. In addition to liking beer a lot, she has a passion for supporting and coaching her coworkers and to help them be successful and happy in their work. With the new ESOP plan, Corky is working with the newly formed ESOP Communication Committee. So thank you, Corky. And Doug Schmidt is here from REI, the store we all love. That's the gear part of the gear and the beer. Doug Schmidt's from Seattle, and we're really excited that he came all the way here to talk with you all. Doug's the divisional vice president of retail, and he's been with REI for nearly 20 years. I guess why would you ever leave? It's a co-op at the heart of a community that believes that life outdoors is a life well lived. And he currently is the divisional vice president overseeing stores in the western half of the country. Starting as a cashier on the sales floor, Doug worked his way through REI's ranks, managing a retail store in the Bay Area and then serving as a retail field director. And prior to REI, Doug received his bachelor's in business management and connected his love for the outdoors with a career at REI. So I'm going to do a little panel with them right now, so we can learn more about how co-ops exist and operate in other industries, because we are this really unique animal. But there are, I'm going to get my questions. There are some similarities, and I think we can learn something from them. So I'm going to pass the mic over to you. If you could just give me like a 2-minute overview, Corky, of what this employee stock ownership program plan is, and the theme of the panel is really companies that are owned and driven by their stakeholders, whether it's members or for you employees.
Thanks, Burst, for having me here today. It's great to learn about your organization, and I was in tears as well, so excuse me while I keep trying my eyes up here. For years and years, I had 2 partners, my brother and his wife, and we ran our company as the 3 owners of the company. And we were happy. We struggled, of course, at first, starting a new company in a place where craft beer was not really known much. But we've prevailed and been successful. And 3 months ago, we sold our company to our coworkers. So we still own part of the company. We sold the majority to our 3 managers, and we sold the rest of the company, about 20%, to all of our coworkers. And so that's what an employee stock ownership plan is they own interest in a trust. So what they will receive when they retire or when they leave the company is the increased value of the company from right now till years in the future. So as our company grows in value, their retirement plan will grow the same way. And depending on how long they've been there, they can get the money right away and things like that. But it's such an incredible feeling, and going from 3 co-owners to 110, I couldn't be happier.
All right, thank you. Well, it's great to be here. Yeah, amazing story. Thank you for sharing that. So for me, obviously I have a big passion about gear and the outdoors and beer. But I love, yes, that's right. I love being in conversations around the structure of co-op organizations. So REI started, it's actually pretty similar to some of the stories that Julie was sharing earlier. So we started grassroots in 1938. Pacific Northwest, a group of about 24 mountaineers got together. They had a common passion for the outdoors and a common need for gear to help them enjoy the outdoors. So they decided to found a co-op. This was the best structure to ensure that they were reflecting the mission and the values that they had collectively. And I will say and thinking about some of the financial challenges that you were sharing, that we had our own series of challenges that we had to forge through. And time and again, it would be because we were able to be, as a co-op, on a long-term focus. It wasn't about a group of owners that had a divergent set of perspectives or values, but that it was one set of values for us leading us as an organization. So specifically, if you think about your focus on prevention, for us it's about stewardship. It's about the outdoors. It's about these communities that we do business in. And we incorporated, in a big part of how we're structured is, it's where we channel those profits to support that. So nearly all of our profits go back to our members. I'm sure there are many of you sitting out here. How many members? Let's see some hands. Oh yeah, okay. Whoa, that's a lot. In the right place. Denver store's right there. So it's about sharing back with our members. It's about sharing back with our employees. So every single employee, so we have 12,000 employees at the co-op, all of them share in the profits of the organization. And then a big part of it is about our grant recipients, our community partners, many of which are right here. And over $6 million last year shared with that group. And I think for me, that's one of the best virtues of working for a co-op, is that you can structure in a way that ensures this isn't something that you intend to do, but it's something that you actually do. It's how you run your business.
Thank you, Doug. You guys can keep that mic. So I'm going to ask a couple questions and just pass the mic back and forth. So since you have the mic, Doug, what do you think the strengths that your organization reaps from having the co-op structure, and how does it give you a competitive advantage in this market?
You know, we were chatting a little bit about that out here before we convened today, and for me, one of the big things is the amount of substance that we're able to bring to life. And first and foremost, that's for our members. So they think about not just the fact that we have great gear, but they trust the experience. They trust the process behind how we chose to select that gear, or the gear that we produced on our own. That's a big piece of it. There's that trust that goes along with that. But that also resonates on the employee side, people choosing to perhaps leave the career that they have now to come join REI. It's a great way for us to attract top talent within the industry, simply because they identify with our mission and how committed we are to it by being a co-op structured around it.
Great. And Corky, how do you think your ESOP helps you internally, your culture, and gives you a competitive edge?
The reason why we decided to do an ESOP is because a lot of transitions are happening in the craft brewing industry, just like the insurance company. And Anheuser-Busch is no longer owned by an American company, it's owned by a Belgian company. Miller Coors is no longer owned by an American company, it's owned by a South African company. And those two apparently are going to merge. So it's this huge monster of beer out there. And craft beer is less than 10% of all beer sold in the U.S. It's a lot higher in Seattle and pretty high in Denver as well. But we're still teeny, we're still teeny. And so a number of craft brewing companies have sold to the big behemoths. Sorry if any of you work at Anheuser-Busch. Actually, they make amazing beer, and they've done a really great job. They probably wouldn't remember. And we had that opportunity. I mean, we could have made big bucks selling at this point. The numbers are huge right now, but we decided what was more important to us, and Doug talked about this earlier, is our values and our legacy. Our legacy of the culture that we have, the quality of our beer that we have, and we felt like it made sense to sell to our coworkers. They're the ones who come every day and pour their heart into what we do. They trust each other, they believe in each other, they like to have fun together, and so it was a natural sort of circle for us to sell to our coworkers, and it's going to be a wonderful benefit for them, and it's really, again, it's awesome to go to work every day and big smiles on their faces, and so it's just great.
Great, thank you. Doug, why don't you talk about how you engage members of the co-op and employees of the co-op, and how does that enhance or affect your culture, your products, your company?
Great question. So I'll give a specific example, actually. So we just finished, I call it a campaign, but it was almost a social-based stewardship project, and it's called Every Trail Connects. And so what we did was we said, hey, again, we channel a large portion of our funding, or of our profits towards funded community engagement. We selected 10 trails across the country. We then put $500,000 up. We created an online campaign where we said, come in and vote for the trail that you're most passionate about. One of them was right here in your backyard. I'll show that in a second. Some of you may have voted for it. And so here we thought we'll have a few weeks of people being able to vote, and the vote determines how much of that money goes towards supporting their local trail. The campaign actually lasted for about a day and a half, which one shows you the engagement that people have in wanting to be a part of and stewarding the resources that enable us to get out there and to experience the outdoors together. Two, shows you the virtues and engagement of the member base. I think the word I like to use very often, and Corky just spoke to this, is the community feel. We heard the family feel from members of your own speaking to that. And that, in and of itself, that is a huge virtue of the co-op, and in my mind, one of the most impressive ways that we benefit from being structured in that manner. From an employee perspective, this is something that we pride ourselves on, and that is, you don't just have a culture around service. We're proud of our service model. We're proud of the experiences that we provide. We were chatting about some of our outdoor trips that we guide and share with individuals. But we're also proud of the fact that we don't just see it as service, but we see our members as owners. So you think about that, really takes it to that next level. That's a high level of ownership that you will feel from our employees. That's unique because of that co-op structure.
Same question to you, Corky.
You'd repeat it for me, thanks.
Sure. How do you engage your customers and your employees, and how does that affect your culture?
We have a very collaborative, cooperative culture at our organization. We have some values that are based around sustainability. We have a full-time person devoted to that at our company. A lot of the people who work with us are drawn to work with us because of that value that we hold and because of their love of gear and the outdoors. We also have a value related to philanthropy in our communities where we sell our beer. We have a person who's devoted to that full time. And we have also a safety person it's hugely important to keep our workplace very safe. So I think we also have several committees. One is the philanthropy committee, one is the sustainability committee, one is the culture club, which is the fun committee, and we plan the really fun things to do. We have a product development committee, we have a wellness committee, we have now an ESOP communication committee, and it's just super great. And anybody can join a committee. And they can just express interest. We pay them for their time that they're on the committees, and it just brings a lot more engagement in what we do. And every meeting, we talk about our beer and our culture, and that's so hugely important to us. Nothing else really matters that much. I mean, it's nice, it's great to make profits. We can pay people better and all those kind of things. But I think it is that real collaborative, fun culture that we have that really makes people want to come to work and care tremendously about the quality of our beer.
Great. Before we wrap up, I've just got two more questions. Tell me give me one really unique thing about your organizational structure that is interesting, bizarre, exciting, different, that we probably don't know about, because we think we all enjoy Odell and we all shop at REI apparently. So tell us something that that we probably don't know about your organization that stems from being this stakeholder-driven organization structure.
Yeah, I've got interesting came right to mind. I'm going to work on bizarre, so I might get back on bizarre. So for interesting, often describe ourselves as we're an outdoor retailer. So we talk about the outdoor component there, but we're running a retail business too. I mentioned a big part of a retail business is our service model, so the in-person service you receive in our stores. So the way we run our organization, different than other retailers, is we have director level, executive level in the field. So rather than having them based centrally at headquarters, they're based out here. And the reason why is because we place such an important value on the customer experience that we need that level to be as close to that as possible. So they are based in our stores, they're on the floor, they're working with you on probably a regular basis. They're there to be a vocal advocate for how we can better serve that community. They're truly immersed in that. And I think in my mind that is absolutely the best way to run our business.
I think one unique thing that we have that a lot of other companies don't have is we want our coworkers to understand our company totally. We want them to understand our sales, our marketing, things like that. But one thing that's super important is people have to understand how beer is made. So the way we train people on that is we allow any coworker who wants to brew with a brewer, of course, on our pilot system. So it's a very small brewing system. We serve the beer in our tap room. And also we've had, several of our coworkers and my son, he doesn't work with a company, but get married this year, and the couples have come in and brewed a beer for their weddings. It was really neat. And my son, they wanted a lime-flavored kind of session pale ale, and my son named it Lime in Love with You.
Right, that's fantastic. All right, last question. What advice would you give to just a little co-op like us getting started?
Yep.
That's really important in Colorado, but just from a culture or leadership or a membership perspective.
So I think I have two things. I'm going to give one advice to the leadership here, and then the advice for the member group. So on the leadership side, I think one of the things we've learned as a co-op, and someone asked me the other day, they're like, okay, you just went on for 5 minutes of the virtues of being a co-op. Give me the shadow side. Like, give me something out there that might be a challenger to be aware of. And the one thing is I'm always mindful of is the partnerships you keep, because ultimately they represent, and you need to ensure that they're as aligned with your values and on your mission as you are. So I think from an advice standpoint, I know that's not lost on you, and I know right now there's some financial challenges maybe trumping that, but I think that's the one piece of advice I would give there. For the member base, my piece of advice to all of you would be to embrace it. This is a really, really cool structure, community, we heard the word family, to be a part of. I loved the call to action from everyone wanting to know, what can we do? What's our part? That is exactly why you chose to be a part of this community, and my challenge to you would be to keep that up. I'm rooting for you. I don't live in Colorado, so I can't participate. It is a great model, and in my mind, the best way to run this business.
Corky?
I would say for the staff, share information with each other, learn from each other, have fun together, know as much about your company as possible so you can speak wholeheartedly with enthusiasm and passion about what you have going on, because really it is an incredible thing you have going on. For the members, same thing. Learn as much as you can about this organization. Tell your friends about it. Really be advocates for what's going on, because it's hugely important and I think would be a great solution to healthcare in the future.
Thank you so much, Doug and Corky, for being here with us. And I've got a few gifts, just a quick parting gift, if you will.
Planimals?
You can't have the Planimals, but we did get you a really cool Colorado made and themed clocks to remember us by. And thank you for
Thank you so much.
coming and sharing. Thanks for sharing. All right, we're going to wrap up our program here. If I can invite Chuck back. Oh, hi. Okay. Chuck's going to wrap it up for us.
And I heard the words value and energy and quirkiness and pouring their hearts into this. I'd like to invite the current board members up here so we can all see you. One of us is missing, and there are 11 of us total. And this is a great group of people, and I've been honored to be part of them. And I know we have a few people who want to say things about the ones who are retiring, and I don't know who wants to start.
So a year ago, when I was elected, I had a lovely conversation with Melinda Harper. And I just want to say she is a dogged pragmatist and an optimist always there for us, and it's been such a pleasure to get to meet her. We will miss her greatly. So.
So the one board member that's not here, Jay Brook, has actually represented us from the beginning. One of the founding members represented our rural members, and a very important constituency for the membership. And we're going to sorely miss his representation, his maturity, his intelligence, and you know, Jay's been just an unbelievable board member from the beginning, and sad to see him go. I wish I could hug him and give him a handshake, but in spirit.
I'm Billy. I'm going to talk about Mark here. He probably doesn't like this very much. So I want to say, despite being a physician, Mark is always the very first person to keep the focus on the consumer. So I have the opportunity to serve on the clinical care committee as well with Mark, and he is always focused on not what do the doctors think about this, but what does the consumer think about this, and how do we view how things should work going forward. And then in addition to that, despite how tough things may be or whatever we're discussing, Mark's always the first to make it add a little bit of humor and levity into the situation and make light of things. So we really appreciate it, and we'll miss you.
Hi, I'm Rebecca, and I'm going to talk about John Gardner, who is not only one of the founding board members, but he's also been the chair of the Finance Committee, which has not been an easy feat this year, and given some of the stories that you've heard. He is also representative of a rural population. He's the CEO of the hospital in Yuma. I almost said Lima, but that's like in Ohio, I think. But anyway, we will so miss his wisdom, his knowledge of the business of healthcare, and just the way he really projects the importance of the members. We always come back to, on the board, of members first, and John has been a huge advocate for that. So thank you for all your great service, and we're really going to miss you.
And he didn't want us to say anything about him, but I will anyways. This guy over here is Chuck, and he was one of our founding board members, and you guys just re-elected him. You guys made a really great decision. Thank you. He's been the president of our board, and I'm really excited that he's going to be back.
So I know this is totally unorthodox and whatever.
But not unfamiliar.
That's right. I just want to say that the group of people you elected last year came into this situation and this organization and dove in and committed to it and have made such a difference, and they will be there for you going forward. They're wonderful, and I appreciate them so much, and I feel like I'm leaving this organization in such good hands. Thank you.
And then I'd also like to welcome up the board members that you guys just elected that are joining our board. Luke McFarland, Kathy Wagner, and Adam Griff. Is Sharon here? And Sharon Montez.
And is someone going to say more about them? No. Lisa wants to talk.
No, I don't want to talk. I'll say another word about them. I apologize that I don't have Kathy's your bio to review. I know you're an RN. I know you're a hospice nurse, and that you just came back from Mexico. I can see that you're tanned. Wonderful. Good. I'm glad you got your vacation in because you're going to need need it. So welcome. We're glad to have you. We now have another physician on our board. Dr. Montes has joined us, and we're thrilled to have a physician who will be joining the board with us and have that we are losing. So we're glad to have you here as well. And Adam, I don't even understand your resume. This is the Computer Geek. You should read, right? Yeah. The masters, I didn't even understand it, and I'm pretty smart. But there were words in there I had no idea what they meant. So we are really happy to have him on board. So, welcome. And then,
risk corridor.
yes, that's right. And we have another attorney, we have another attorney, and that's great.
Don't hold it against
Try not to. No, we're thrilled to have another attorney with us. Chuck has been with us from the beginning and has really carried the weight and been such a blessing for us. No, so we're really thrilled to have you here, and I see that you have a wonderful, diverse background in running businesses and business operation, and that's going to be very helpful, so we're glad that you're here. All right, is that everybody? All righty.
This is your board, past and future. Thank you all for electing them, for participating. I will be in this.
Thank you all for coming.
I just want to introduce Lindy Wallace, who should be up here in many ways because she is our spirit and was our first president and founding board member. And she's sitting right here, and she's been with us from the start and is still with us, and I have no doubt will be calling anybody she can get a phone number for. So thank you all for being part of the membership meeting. We look forward to your help and participation, and thank you for being part of a great organization that's all about you.
Meeting adjourned. There's food and Odell's in the lobby. Please stick around and enjoy with us.